In 2008, Roger Ailes, the most illustrious son of Warren, Ohio, was invited to speak at the dedication of the Trumbull County Veterans Memorial near Courthouse Square. 1,500 people, some of them carrying signs reading "Come back, Roger" and "Bring jobs," turned up to hear his nostalgic, patriotic speech. Warren, Ohio is a once great town, at least in the fond childhood memories of Roger Ailes. I have similar feelings about my own hometown, Pontiac, Michigan, another bustling industrial hub in the days of Ike and JFK, before the belt began to rust. Warren was an important town, the county seat, a place where every 4 years presidential candidates rolled through town in open touring cars, waving at the crowd. It had a grand courthouse, a thriving downtown full of movie palaces, self-important local banks, and even a fine restaurant, the Saratoga. During the Civil War, Warren was a Yankee hamlet of less than 3,000. But at the start of the 20th century, things changed. Steel mills sprang up. Packard opened an automobile factory. There were jobs and a flood of workers, Italian immigrants, white and black Southerners to fill them. By the time Ailes was growing up there, in the 40s and 50s, Warren's population was climbing towards 60,000. Today, it is closer to 40,000. Warren was more than manufacturing. It sits about halfway between Chicago and New York, which made it a stopping point on the booze highway during Prohibition. People sometimes called it Little Chicago, and it retained its raffish character after repeal. The mafia became firmly established in the entire Mahoning Valley. Warren's politics were rough and ready. Perhaps the region's most famous statesman was Congressman Jim Trafficant, who represented the valley for 20 years before getting busted on a bribery charge. He got a 7-year sentence, ran for re-election from his federal prison cell, and won 15% of the vote. The mafia was an irritant in Warren, but during World War II, the Nazis posed what appeared to be a greater threat. The Mahoning Valley, with its steel mills, mines, and factories, saw itself as the American Ruhr, which the Allies were bombing into uselessness, and there was widespread concern that the Germans would try to retaliate. The first years of Roger Ailes' life were spent under blackout and curfew, enforced by air raid wardens, including Roger's father, Bob. National security concerns didn't dissipate after the fall of the Third Reich. During the Cold War, American kids everywhere were drilled on ducking under their desks in the event of an atomic attack, and the threat was taken with special seriousness in places like Warren and in Pontiac. People figured that as soon as the Russian missiles headed south across the Canadian border, they would be aimed right at us, Ailes recalls. Paranoia and civic pride coexisted in Warren, Ohio during the Eisenhower years. The factories were hiring and at peak production. A Chamber of Commerce report, issued in 1955, declared Warren well-balanced industrially, with a great diversification of products from basic steel to finished consumer items. Endowed with a great deal of natural resources and strategically located between Cleveland and Pittsburgh, the future of Warren is assured. Young Roger Ailes was exposed to the typical diet of Midwestern media. As a boy, he delivered the Youngstown Vindicator, a morning newspaper. "I used to go out at 5 a.m., he recalls. It was dark as hell and freezing in the winter. On the way out of the house, my dad would give me a chocolate bar, and I'd stop halfway through the route, duck into a storefront to get out of the wind, eat that candy, and then do the rest of the route." There was also a 5,000-watt AM radio station that featured local news and sports, and due to the town's fortuitous location, 6 TV stations out of Youngstown, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland, all of which offered the same homogenized network, News from Nowhere. The main entertainment in Warren was downtown, at theaters like the Robins, old-fashioned movie houses where the owner and his wife would personally greet the patrons with a handshake on Friday nights. Ailes was a movie buff who especially loved John Wayne westerns, Army movies like From Here to Eternity, and patriotic fare such as Yankee Doodle Dandy, starring Jimmy Cagney. He was close to his maternal grandmother, and they would often take in a movie, save half their popcorn, and then after the show, feed it to the squirrels near the courthouse fountain. Roger Ailes was the middle child.